loyalty, there's no allegiance. We need a people that can abide. You know what I'm saying? Not tossed to and fro, not carried about with every wind of doctrine, but people who have a level of resolution in their spirit that stands behind their word. Right? That word means to remain or stay in a given place. God has given us. There is a place that we need to stay in. Right? It is a state of being. Was that mine? Relation or expectancy with God. There is what? A state of being, relation, or expectancy. So when you say you abide, it's not passive. It's a state of being. There's an expectancy in you. Because we think, that it's abiding, you're just going to kind of buy some time, it's just like, it's laborious, you know what I'm saying? It's just casual. No. Just like the shepherds abided in the field. Remember that? They weren't just out there just doing nothing. They were doing their work, their assignment. Before the heavens opened up and said, peace on earth and goodwill towards all men, they were abiding in the field. And we need some people that can abide in the field, just like Zechariah.
Amen.
Was that Zacchaeus? John the Baptist, if you know anything about it, Luke 1, John the Baptist had a daddy, that's his name. And he was actually serving Lot in the temple. So he was abiding in the temple before he got a revelation about what what his wife Elizabeth would carry. So we need to know, there's a lot to go in there. Moses was, come on now, y'all. Moses was abiding. It's a whole bunch of things we don't know, right? David was abiding before he got his call. Right? And I think some of us are out of place in the realm of spirit, and we don't have, and see, when you're out of place, you're misplaced. You know what I'm saying? Well, matter of fact, if you're out of place, you displace. If you misplace, you displace. So there's an assignment, and there's a thing that the Father has for us. That's why we can't be anxious for anything. We got to make sure that we're in sync with what the Spirit of God is saying. Tell you that we need to be in sync with the Spirit of God.
We need to be in sync.
But while we abide in the process, while we abide on the potter's wheel, we have to understand in that abiding, there's a call attached to it. And within that calling, there's a grace with it. I think Elder Vanessa mentioned that. There is a grace, man. We haven't learned how to operate in grace. Grace can do a lot. Grace ain't, see, and the contrast is grace and mercy. We still haven't differentiated between the two, right? Anybody know the difference between mercy and grace? See? Yeah. Mercy says what? You should have got it. You should have went to jail.
Grace says no.
That's what mercy says. Mercy, you should have went to jail, but we're gonna give you. You're gonna work. You're gonna have to do community service. That's mercy. Grace says, I look within myself and I can't do it, but all of a sudden I got a word from God and I feel like I can. So what I couldn't do is what grace gives you the power to do. Right? Grace won't allow you to depend on your own strength. I did a teaching a long time ago. What about grace? And grace, if you're going to be apostolic kingdom preachers, Paul had a phenomenal insight on grace. That's why he said, I am that I am by the grace of God. Your identity is going to come. The more grace you have, the more you're going to discover your calling. That's another message. But the word calling in Greek is klesis. It's spelled, it sounds like klesis. It's G2821. Tell your neighbor, klesis. Tell them places. That sounds like somebody you know, don't it? Down south. Places. See, when y'all looking like y'all just like out there, I'm gonna click you, pull you in. All right. Amen. So it's an invitation to a feast. I know I gave it to you. It's an invitation for what? A feast. Tell your neighbor there's an invitation.
Invitation.
To feast.
To feast.
And it's also, the root word is kaleo. And that word means to call aloud. To call by name. So you tell me, if the Father has assigned the parts of his bodies to a place, that place is a physical place. I know we like to mystify it, but he put us in a place, within that place, it has a community. Right? So within that community, I'm assigned a place. And in that place, there's a function. Right? And according to the definition of this word, it's not quiet. Right? It's a kaleo, right? That means, hey, in the realm of spirit. So when that call is given, kalesis means call to a feast. So that means there's something that needs to be consumed, or something that I need to partake of. You get what I'm saying? You got the kalesis up there? Okay. So it's a invitation or to a feast, and it means, and so this is what I wrote down some time ago, and I always wanted to share this in the context. If we can get this, divinely, God has called us. And another word for kaleo is summoned. That's why you hear me mention it a lot. He has summoned us, which means you don't have options. You have to show up. So God is speaking to his body to show up. I'm going to share why the body is not answering the summons. But I'm here to tell you, the original intent of the Father, he's given us the necessary tools to show up. But as I said on Sunday, it's just some of the real simple things that we choose to overlook. You know, and if you overlook it, some of the simple stuff, like prayer, like worship, like study, like obedience. Those are simple, but they're profound. You know, and you know what? And it's so much. Those things I just said goes beyond denominational lines. If anybody in the 44, it depends on who you listen to, 50,000 denominations, those are necessary pillars, right? And the reason why, it helps us to respond to the call. If I have a part to play in a corporate body, then it's very important, it's imperative for me to discover that part. Now, the attachment to that part, just like anything we get, you know, even in the natural, God has given us the tools to perform that service. That service is about us being within a corporate body, not an inactive member, but a member that is active, that's actively engaging God, that's actively seeking after the things of God. Y'all with me? I'm gonna scream in a minute because I'm trying to get y'all soaking it in. Okay. So with this, and it's also an invitation. So most of us received the invitation to come out. We left. Most of us left a few things behind, right? But there's an invitation to come in, right? There's a feast that we partook of that brought us out. Then there's a feast we must partake of to bring us in. Amen. And I can talk about that feast, but not right now. But that is the bread and wine. And that is the finished work. The finished work brings us in. But that's for another statement. But let me give you this, what I wrote on my notes. With this invitation also comes certain commands, conditions, restraints, responsibilities that set us apart to become a standard and an example, living epistles for others to read, that show and demonstrate the Father's love for them in and through Christ. So I am an earnest of whatever the Father wants to do generationally, whatever he wants to do in the community, right? So it's imperative for me to respond to what the Father is calling aloud. This is not something that's done in a corner. He's amplifying the need for us to be active in our part. I know we have to go and you have to find out your gift set and your gift cluster, and you got to find out what part of the calling, the specific part of your calling, but the general calling that fits everybody in this room without having full disclosure on your individual call The general call is that all of us have to respond to whatever the Father is declaring in this season. That's why they told you before I got out here that it's imperative for you to respond. Right? God is holding all of us personal. Because if I don't respond correctly, if you don't respond correctly, distortions in the body occur. When the parts of the body express themselves contrary to their divine placement, what divine placement has to do with God's assignment in the church, right? When distortions in the body occur, when parts of the body express themselves contrary to their divine placement, purpose, and grace, without standing in our appointed places, we are lacking when we do not hear from the Christ that's in us. What does that mean, Apostle? That simply means there are commands, there's conditions, there's restraints and responsibilities that the Father has for you. Each and every one of us have to respond to what the Father is saying and declaring. Amen? Because in that place that He's appointed for us, that divine placement, there's a grace attached to it. There's a metron. When you are in your assigned place, there's a grace. When you are in your place, trust me, when you're out of place, man, you're talking about moody. You're talking about edgy. There are emotional things that happen when you're out of place spiritually.
Yes.
We don't believe it, but it's the truth.
Yes.
When you break that hedge, it said when you break that hedge, what happens? The serpents bite you. So one of the things that we don't want to break is understanding that I have something to offer to that body. And some of us have been here a long time. Tell your neighbor, we've been here a long time.